Hello everyone, please take your seats. Thank you for coming. It's great to see such a huge interest in becoming more productive with IntelliJ IDEA. So my name is Kropp. I'm software developer at JetBrains, working there for many years already. I'm developing some plugins for IntelliJ IDEA, and of course I use it daily. And in the next 50 minutes I want to share with you how I set up my IDE and how I do software development in IntelliJ IDEA. So, first I need to make a disclaimer. It's a tips and tricks type of session. If you have been to similar session before here at Devoxx or at any other conference, well, probably you'd better find another talk. There are a lot of great talks happening right now. If you are using IntelliJ IDEA more than like 10 years, you again probably won't learn anything new today. So I'm mostly targeting beginners here. And well, let's get started. I titled this talk Zen Habits of Using IntelliJ IDEA because when I do software development, I want to concentrate on code, and so that any other things won't disturb me. To be more concrete, let's change one letter and make 10 habits of using IntelliJ IDEA. And the first one is I always use the newest, freshest, latest releases that exist. And before, you need to go to our website and check if there is a new build available. Now, like since a year, we have a nice, cool Toolbox app. It is available for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It's a small application that runs in background, sits in menu bar on Mac or in system tray on Windows or whatever it's called on Linux. What it does, at least all the IDEs we created at JetBrains, you can install any IDE with a single click. When it is installed, and as you see, you can have several versions side by side, so you can have a stable release and the newest early access build to test the brand new features. And here you can go to settings, and this is the most important checkbox here. You click install updates automatically, apply changes, and from now on IntelliJ IDEA will be updated in background, and the next time you start your computer you will have the latest build already waiting for you. Okay, but that's not all, that's not everything, and there is another tab here, and it lists all the projects you have on your computer. You can start IntelliJ IDEA and open the project in a single click from this view. So let's switch to the IDE. And this is how IntelliJ IDEA looks by default when you first start it. And here I want to show my next habit. I clean the view so that nothing distracts me. First of all, you see tip of the day. Well, you can check them quickly and disable them. Because there is a better way to learn new things in IntelliJ, and in help menu there is a productivity guide. It is again a list of tips how to use IntelliJ. But what's better, it also counts how often do you use any particular action, and you can sort this action by number of times you used them. Well, you sort it in ascending direction and go through those actions you never used and learn something new. It's much better than tips and on startup. Well, then we see a window full of different toolbars. There is a lot of things here attracting our attention instead of focusing on code. So what I do, I hide project view. It is shown with the Alt and 1 or Command 1 on Mac. So I will be showing this on Linux. Linux and Windows shortcuts are almost the same, and shortcuts on Mac, when they are different, I will know that. Otherwise, you will see all the shortcuts and the green bar at the bottom of the screen. So I hide the project view. What if I need to find some file? Well, there is find file action, and worked with Control-Shift-N on Windows Linux and Command-Shift-O on Mac. From here, you can, in this pop-up, you can type any file name and go to this file directly. You can also use the recent files pop-up. It's Control or Command E, and it lists, well, recent files. Next thing I usually hide is a tab bar. And to do this, we can quickly invoke find action, Control-Shift-A, and search for tabs placement option. In find action pop-up, you can invoke any action or even tune IntelliJ settings right from this pop-up. So I choose tab placement none. Well, Control Tab shortcut works as expected, even the tabs are hidden. Well, we have also line numbers here. We can hide them from context menu or search for the option with the find action. And if I need to go to some particular line, I can invoke go to line, Control-G or Command-L, and type any line and column here. They are also displayed in the status bar at the bottom of the screen, and this is probably the only thing I don't hide in IntelliJ, because it shows useful error messages, progress indicators, and there is a Git branch name over to the right here as well. Well, by the way, with the go to file action, you can also type first letters of a file name, then colon, and then line number, and you will navigate to that line directly. And if you, for example, place another column and another number, you go to the column at that line. Well, there is another thing here on the left, and this is a gutter bar displaying some icons. Well, some are useful, like these ones, allowing you to run main methods, for example, but this one that indicating you have lambda in this line, well, I find them pretty useless. We go to find action again, type gutter, and can quickly navigate to a settings page. From here, you can either disable all the gutter icons or just choose some of them. Well, some of them are really useful. So I only disable lambda marks, icons of lambda functions. So next up here, when you navigate through code, you see that symbol under the cursor is highlighted. Well, I find it a bit distracting that every time I move the cursor, something gets highlighting, everything blinks. So I disable this option as well, and highlight on caret movement, highlight usages off. Well, if I need them, I can invoke highlight usages in file. It's Shift-Control F7 or with command on Mac. And well, the last thing is the current line. Well, again, I don't think it's very useful. We can go to that settings. We can search here as well. We find color scheme, settings caret row, and disable background. Well, yeah, this one is tricky to disable, but while we are here, we can enable another useful option that is disabled by default. It's semantic highlighting. Well, I enable it and show what it does. You see all the parameters and local variables are now colored in different colors. It helps to identify different variables, and for example here I have an example of similarly named variables, but they get very different colors, so I won't mix them. Oh well, there is another thing I forgot. Here at the bottom it's a breadcrumbs. So well, when you are editing some HTML, it might be useful and displays the deeply nested structure of HTML documents, but in Java files it's almost useless, and we disable breadcrumbs as well. Well, now I'm pretty much satisfied with my setup. I see. Oh well, no. At the top there is another bar, and it's called navigation bar. Well, we disable it, and to invoke it when we need it, we press Alt Home or Command Up on Mac. Here we can navigate with arrows. With down arrow opens the package or folder, and you can go to any file right from here. Well, and there were run configurations on the right, and I will show them later. So, well, yeah, now it looks clean and nice, and let's move to the third thing. Set your own shortcuts. So I've already shown some shortcuts, and I will show more. You can find this cheat sheet on our booth at the conference hall. It's really useful to learn these shortcuts, to get used to them. But there are much more actions in IntelliJ IDEA that we can assign shortcuts to. So we need to carefully choose some of them, probably most useful. But for each and every project, you may want something else. And you can, for example, you may want to change some shortcut for an existing functionality. For example, there is a search everywhere pop-up, and it is invoked by double pressing Shift button. And well, I find this somewhat strange. Well, what does this search everywhere do? It combines recent files, go to file, go to class, go to symbol action in one. So you may remember just a single shortcut and use this to navigate into everything in your project. The different types of content is grouped here, and you can tap between these groups, between files, methods, actions, and so on. But I prefer to invoke this action with another shortcut. And to set shortcut, I go to settings, key map, find the action I want, and assign a new keyboard shortcut for this. So here I already assigned Control comma. You can do this with other shortcuts, with other actions you may find useful for you personally. And for anything else, Control-Shift-A is your choice. Well then, IntelliJ IDEA has a lot of built-in functionality, but it also features more than 2,000 plugins on our plugin repository. One of the plugins you've already seen, it's called Presentation Assistant. It displays this green bar down this below at the bottom of the screen, but there are a lot more. There are two types of plugins provided by JetBrains, and you install them by install JetBrains plugins, or third-party plugins. You can find them by pressing Browse repositories. And for example, a plugin that I usually install called dotIgnore, and it helps to edit .gitignore and similar files. So you just install them from here, and they will be updated by IntelliJ as soon as the new version appears. So now you have a carefully crafted setup, and you don't want to lose it. So there was an option to save your settings before with the plugin settings sync, but it required a Git repository to store the settings. Well, it's complicated setup, so we decided to address it, and in the IntelliJ IDEA 2017.3, we introduced Cloud Sync. It is a built-in functionality. It is available in the status bar. You click Enable Sync, and then all your personal shortcuts and installed plugins are synced between your computers, if you have any, or at least if you have just one, they are safely stored in the cloud. And it uses JetBrains account you already use for IntelliJ license. This plugin is now in preview. You need an invite to try it out, so come to our booth and conference hall, we will send you one. Okay. We've done with setting synchronization, so let's finally do some coding. You can create a new file with Control-Alt-Insert or Alt-Option-N on Mac. I choose create Java class, and for example, I will have a database of comic book characters, and I will load it from file and filter it somehow a little bit. So let's create data class superhero for this. So you see the project view here. It appears from time to time. To navigate back to the code from it, you use escape. And if you want to close it and navigate back to code, you press Shift Escape. And if you, by the way, if you have many windows open, you can press Control Shift F12 to hide them all. Well, I have you using now a different instance of IntelliJ IDEA. As we've seen, I have several installed, and this one uses a dark theme. So to quickly switch themes, you can press Control backtick. And here at the bottom, you see look and feel, and you can choose either Darkula, it's our dark theme, or IntelliJ, it's a white theme. So, and you can use speed accessors numbers 5 and 1 to enable Darkula again. This pop-up also can help you to quickly switch key map. For example, if you do pair programming with your colleague who is used to some other keyboard layout, for example. Well, back to our code. Well, let's create some fields in this data class. So our superheroes have name, and in the database there is a number of appearances of this character in comics and the year of first appearance. Well, that's enough for an example. So we created several fields in the class, but now it's not properly formatted. With Control-Alt-L, you can invoke formatting on current file. Well, we have private fields, we need getter and setter methods. With Alt-Insert, you invoke generate menu, and here you can choose generate getter and setters. You select the fields for which you want to generate getters and setters, press OK, and you get the job done. And from the same menu, you can also generate a constructor and also initialize fields from it. Well, and have you heard about Kotlin? This is our language for JVM, and you can convert any Java file to Kotlin from IntelliJ by pressing Ctrl-Alt-Shift-K. So, and this is how the same class looks in Kotlin. Well, yeah. I do all the new stuff in Kotlin, but for this demo I will stick to Java or show some other things that IntelliJ can offer you for Java. So with the generate menu, we can create equals and hash code methods as well. So you don't need to manually type all these things. Well, let's go further and load our database. So we need a main method for this, and there is an abbreviation for this, PSVM, public static void main. And what it does, it invokes, applies a live template to your code. We can go to settings, live templates, and here there are a lot of live templates for different languages and for Java, like, for example, if null, the shortcut that will type if some variable equals null for you. Well, how do you read the file in Java? You use file line by line. You use buffered reader. If I start typing, the auto pop-up completion appears, and I can apply the first suggestion by pressing Enter. Well, there is better options. If I press spacebar, then the first suggestion is applied, and it also inserts a space after that. And it works with some other symbols like dot or semicolon or angle brackets for generic types, and so on. So when I start to type a variable name, IntelliJ already suggests some variants from the class, from the type name. So this was basic completion, but there are another type of completion in IntelliJ, and it is called smart completion. And I prefer using it whenever I can. It is invoked with Control-Shift space, and it tries to find the already existing instances of the applicable type at that code point. So we don't have any buffered readers available here, but we can press Ctrl-Shift-Space again. And what it does, it looks for some chained calls. So for example, it found a static method, and because it was the only suggestion, it inserted it automatically. So now we can create a buffered reader from like this. We type, well, I typed it quickly. I used path class, and it's not yet imported. And this pop-up appears. You can apply a suggestion by Alt-Enter, and it inserts the appropriate import for you. If there are several classes with the same name in different packages, you will get a pop-up with all the suggestions where you can find the one you like. So I load a file with this, and well, IntelliJ can not only help you to create new code, it also finds errors in your code. So for example here, we must handle a checked exception, and there are options either to add the method signature. We surround it with a try catch. Well, there is another thing we can do here. We can use try with resources block. Well, we can apply this suggestion as well, and there are a lot of useful suggestions if you invoke Alt-Enter somewhere in your code. So do it from time to time, and you'll see that IntelliJ can learn you some Java as well. There are some simple refactorings available right here. So for example, here you can merge nested tries into a one. And there is even more useful type of completion, which is not very well known. It's called a complete statement. With the Shift-Control-Enter, you can syntactically correctly finish current construction, or if it's already a syntactically correct block, you can just get into it or after it. It depends on context. So you don't need to navigate by arrow keys from everywhere. Let's quickly read this file. So here, for example, I can type it by hand, but if I invoke complete statement action inside the condition in while loop, it inserts braces for me and puts the cursor inside the block. So I read line. I want to read line from this buffered reader, and I can use camel humps to search anything in completions or in go-to actions. So here I typed RL, and it found a read line for me. Well, from here I can. Well, I need to assign the return value. With Control W, I can select things in editor. So by consequently pressing Control W, you expand the selection. With Shift, it shrinks the selection. But actually, at this position in the file, I can just invoke extract variable refactoring with Control-Alt-V. And IntelliJ finds that there is a single possible expression here and creates a variable for me. Well, I need to check that it's not null. So what I do, I split into declaration and assignment while Alt-Enter, and then I want to put this check for null into a while condition. Well, I need to move line outside the loop. With Alt, Shift, and arrow keys, you can move lines in the method body, or even you can go out there. Well, and then I select. Well, I need to surround this snippet with the parentheses to check it for null. And there is a very useful option for this. It is called, quote, smart keys surround selection and typing quote. I have it already enabled, and what it does, when I have a selection and press, for example, opening parentheses, it surrounds the currently selected block with parentheses. Well, and I check for null. Well, then I quickly create new superhero from this. Well, I need to split line by a comma sign, and I know there are 13 fields in the file, and again, and here I invoked extract variable on when the cursor went at the beginning of the line, and it suggests me expression which I want to extract as a variable. Well, I need the whole thing. And then I need to create the superhero, but I forgot the constructor parameters. With Control P, I can quickly see the parameters for the construction, and then I need int, a number of appearances. So I use, well, not this one, but integer parse int. And you see, if I type opening bracket, it insert the closing bracket for me. Also, I can select part of code and press Ctrl D to duplicate it. Well, it's not always the best way to do things, but still. Well, here we do something wrong because we don't handle a possible number format exception. So let's extract into a method by using Ctrl-Alt-M. Let's go try parse int. And IntelliJ found the second snippet that is similar to the one we want to extract the method, and suggests to use the same method call here as well. So, by the way, you can navigate between methods in a file and a class by Alt and arrow keys. So another useful thing, I select an expression, and then there is surround with action, and I can quickly surround this expression with try catch, and it even inserted the number format exception for me. Well, because it knows that it is possible from Javadoc, possibly. Well, in this case, I just return null. Okay, let's go here with control and square brackets. You can navigate between opening and closing brackets in the file or in the methods. So I go to the beginning, and I need to create a list of superheroes. Well, apply suggestion, superheroes, new, smart completion, array list. Well, it's done. But there are not only superheroes in the comic books, there are also bad characters, so let's just call them characters. We can invoke rename refactoring right here, and it will rename the class for us. Well, IntelliJ found some variables here in my code. With the similar names, I can select them all with Alt-A and invoke refactoring. And, well, it is renamed, including the variable. So here, there is another useful option in any completion in IntelliJ. So when you apply a completion in this situation with enter, it adds the selected item at the cursor point. But if you apply completion with tab, it replaces the next word under the cursor. Well, in this case, it's not very useful. Okay, just do like this, and with the complete statement, we finish the statement without inserting the parentheses by hand. And well, let's quickly filter the list with the stream API. Yeah, well, let's filter it by number of appearances. Well, let's, if it is more than 2000, and then let's go count on it. Complete statement, and IntelliJ suggests that the return value of the method is not used. Well, yeah, it makes sense. We introduce variable, and yet another type of completion available in IntelliJ IDEA is a postfix completion. So when you first type a variable and then you decide what to do with it. So for example here, if I choose S out, it inserts system out println for me. We can finally run this code, and here on the gather we have a run icon, and suggests that we can run the item in the context with Ctrl-Shift F10. Well, there are no such popular characters in the database for some reason. Well, let's make it less. Well, it doesn't work, but we can debug it, of course. Let's put a breakpoint somewhere. So for example, here with Ctrl F8, you put a breakpoint, but there is a lesser known option with Ctrl-Shift F8. You can add some condition to a breakpoint, and with another Ctrl-Shift F8, you will see all the breakpoints in the current project. And I promise you to show how to access run configurations with Alt-Shift F10. You can access all the run configurations available in these projects. There are speed accessors with numbers here. You can edit all configurations, and there are a lot of them available here in the menu. Well, from this menu, we can also debug any configuration. Well, let's put another breakpoint. And if and the breakpoint is hidden, you see everything here. With F8, you go step by step in the application. With F7, you can get into the method calls, but these are all library calls. And well, probably we have a problem here because I put the equals null, but it should be the opposite. And the thing is also here you see in the debugger, you see the variable values right in your code editor. You don't need to see them in watch windows or somewhere else. See them right here. With Ctrl F10 you stop the debugging and then fix the error, and with Shift F10 you run your code again, and wow, right now there are 31 popular character with more than 1,000 appearances in comic books. let's make it a bit less. Put a breakpoint on this line this time, and it detects a lambda on this line and allows you to set a breakpoint inside that lambda. But I will put a breakpoint on the line itself, not in the lambda. With Control F8 again, you can disable any breakpoint. I start debugging again, and what I wanted to show here is this small button, Trace Current Stream Chain. There is no default shortcut for it, but it's very cool for Stream API. If you press it, it detects that you have a stream chain on this line and can show you how your streams are changed between the stream chain calls. Well, okay. We did some things. So already said about complete statement action. Well, there are two types of completion I wanted to mention. They are not well known, but they are useful and they deserve this. The next thing, we want to commit our work, for example, in Git. With a Control K, we invoke commit changes window, and in this window, you see all the files available in the project, but there are also useful options like reformat code, optimize imports, clean up, whatever you don't want to miss to do before the commit. So we add some commit message. With Control Enter, we make a commit. But then suddenly we realize that some files are missing from the commit. We select them as well. And there is an option to amend commit. It changes the last commit we added by adding new files to it. And this is an example of code analysis. So IntelliJ said that it found 2 warnings in our code. But right now I want to commit it anyway. And when I'm working, I usually go to these analysis results and review all of them. So, I still have a wrong message on my commit. And this is the first commit we have here. So here is another file we have committed. If I change already committed file, on the left-hand side you see the modified markers, and if you are at that place, you can invoke rollback right from here with Control-Alt-Z. So you don't need to go somewhere deep to roll back your commits. Well, let's make another commit. And here, with F2, you can change the message of any commit. And also, the even a code completion is available in this window. But Git integration is not the only thing IntelliJ offers you. There is also a local history. Show history. And this is a window that tracks all the changes you made to any file at any time. So, and you can revert individual changes right from here. You can go back to the history as much as you want. It's a very useful thing. If you forgot to commit something to Git and deleted file accidentally, you can recover your work right from here. Sometimes it saves a lot of time. Next up, another useful habit. is don't leave the IDE. IDE means integrated development environment, and there are a lot of things you can do right from the IDE. So IntelliJ provides support with provides integration with Maven, Gradle, and Ant. So you can, for example, I have a Gradle project here, and I can invoke any Gradle task right from here. If I need a terminal window with Alt F12, well, I sometimes forgot shortcuts too. You can invoke a terminal window that works as you expect. And there is another useful thing I use quite often. It's an external tools integration. So in settings, you can create some external tool. In this case, it's just list files command. Well, you can then invoke it from the go to action menu. Well, it works, but what's even better, you can assign a shortcut to it. Yeah, here in external tools, we have this command, and we can assign the shortcut to it. And if you, for example, do web service development, you sometimes want to test your REST API. And there is a cool thing in IntelliJ IDEA 17.3. It's with the Control-Alt-Shift insert, you can create a Scratch file, so it's kind of temporary file of the type HTTP request. Let's get everything. Here you type a request. This is a REST API test service. We can run it with Alt-Enter right from here and get a result. We can rerun the request. All the results are stored right here in the editor. With the Control-B, you can go and inspect individual results. And by the way, with Control-Alt-Left or right, you can go back and forth through the history. And also in this window, you can compare two results of your requests in diff viewer. There are two types of diffs available in IntelliJ with side-by-side and unified diff. And for example, if you are inspecting diff in commit changes window, you can revert some changes right from there. Well, that's mostly it. And the last thing I want to ask you to do is to report bugs, because when you report some issue you encountered within IDE, it not only helps us to fix this issue, but it helps you to get the fix sooner. If you suggest a new feature, we'll consider to implement it. It is also possible to submit a performance snapshot if you feel IDE is slow on some tasks, and it will help us again. This is a win-win situation, because you do some help to us, and then you get fixes back, and we give a free license for active reporters. Well, that's it. I promised you 10 habits. Let's quickly recap them. Update regularly with the JetBrains toolbox. Clean the view. Remove everything that may possibly distract you from code. Install some plugins and sync them with the Cloud Sync. Use smart completion and a complete statement action. Use advanced local history feature in IDEA to restore your work if you lose some. and we'll use a lot of integration available in the IntelliJ IDEA. Well, the time is almost over. We will be happy to answer all your questions regarding IntelliJ IDEA or any other IDE at our booth and the conference hall. Thank you for attention and have a good conference.